What is up, my mofos? Did you guys have a great week? I hope you did, and welcome to another episode of A Taboo Life, where everyone has a story to tell. I'm your host, Drew Franks, or Frank for short. I want to thank you guys again for listening. Come check out our website, ataboolife.com, where you can read some interesting articles, short stories, poems, because I am that sappy, and you can check out other episodes of the podcast too. So check it out at ataboolife.com. Today's guest is Miss Terra Christina Mason. She is a lot of things. Model, tarot card reader, former Juggalo Wrestler. She has a YouTube channel where people follow her for her diving videos and her swimming videos. This episode was a very unique and intense episode. Unique because we recorded it outside of Wolf's Museum of Mystery in St. Augustine, Florida. And intense because of the subjects we talked about. Before I go any further, I believe that everyone's story should be heard, and Terra's story should be heard. And I ask people to not be judgmental towards her. She's a great woman to talk to. I had a good time talking to her. I did have my doubts about producing the episode, which was we talked about while we were recording. But I feel like it's the right thing to do to actually air this episode, even though it was very intense on what she was talking about. So hope you guys enjoy the episode, and here it is. Alright, we're live. We are recording outside Wolf's Museum of Mystery, and today we're here with
Trina Mason.
And I did not meet you. I actually got suggested from Wolf. I did his episode a couple days ago. For everyone who wants to listen to the episode, it's titled Take a Walk on the Strange and Odd Side. So check out on the podcast page. But he suggested you to me, and I want to hear your story, because he said a lot of good things about you.
That's good to hear. I mean, which part of the story? I mean, which galaxy? There's so many different levels that I could totally go. So the best way to explain that is when you ask questions.
Yeah.
If you look at the word question on a piece of paper, it says quest ion. And when you have passion, you pass ions. So be careful what you're questing for. You might not like what you receive, right? So exactly.
Pass on.
Exactly. I mean, I'm 26 years old. I've been in Florida my whole life. Very energetic.
Well, we'll start with the first one. You do tarot card readings out here for Wolf's Museum.
That's right. Well, if you want to know that part of the story, oh man, I've been coming to this museum for a couple years, honestly. I've kind of lost track. And I decided to randomly come back to the city after. There's a lot of story what ended me up here in St. Augustine, to be honest. And I decided at one point that I wanted to be here no matter what background story was, basically. And I chose to drop everything, put all my stuff in storage, and move here. I asked them if I could put my tank here. That was it. I had a big fish tank at the time. Huge aquarium.
You're a mermaid, right?
Yeah. Still am. And was. And that's exactly how I ended up here. And then exactly like I was in the city. Oh, man. So weird, too. I just saw the guy.
What city?
In St. Augustine.
Okay, St.
Augustine. The oldest city in our nation. I'm really into the ley lines and the energetic grids and stuff like that. And and it's also funny because as a kid, I was really into sign language. There's a million backstory. I ended up here because I was a mermaid. I got a full-time job at the Ritz-Carlton on Amelia Island for Nadia. That was really awesome to be Princess Augustina and have to play such an intense role, you know, and like work really hard and so much, like more than I was ever used to, kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? Like it was a new business that I started, and so I put my fish tank here. And I moved here, and I actually crashed someone's couch, straight up. I had a friend that I thought I could trust that it turned emotional and stuff like that. Of course, there's all that kind of backstory. But because that relationship turned to crap or whatever, I ended up coming over here, and Allie came and got me one day in the car. It was just her idea to sweep me up under her wing type of thing and move the Mermaid in. And then, I got to be basically part of the family, like, living, breathing part of the museum, and it just was such a learning experience, frankly, to learn how to run a business and just like people don't understand. They'll never let you know.
Which business was this? Which business was this?
It's with Wolf's Museum of Mystery.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, from living inside the museum here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right, because the tarot card reading is your separate gig, right?
Well, that's what I'm angling at. I wasn't even a tarot reader before I lived here. My true story is I'm an empath. I have a lot of spiritual gifts, you could say. I mean, it's hard to give language to that, and there's a lot of linguistics for that type of language. However, when I was a kid, I pushed down my gifts. I didn't like what I was receiving.
Wait, well, let's go back. What's the empath?
Empath. It means they're people, we can feel other people's emotions. And sometimes we have to ask, is this emotion mine? Or like exactly, we feel like pain more than other people. Exactly, if there's a dead animal. It's like we're emotional conduits. And frankly, a lot of people are, just more people are tuned on than others. And the way that you know who's tuned in, exactly, who's actually like yelling for animals and babies' rights or human rights instead of creating some type of division. So it's just that kind of level of humanity, empaths, okay? Because there's sympathy, like, oh, I feel bad for you. Then there's empath, like, oh man, you went through that. Like they're actually going through it.
Yeah.
Right. So there's two different kinds. So by me living inside the museum, all my gifts came back. Yeah, don't worry. It's
sorry, guys.
St. Augustine, man.
We're right next to
that live energy. This is the oldest city in the nation.
Oldest city. There's a couple of bars right next to us, so we're actually recording right outside Wolf's Museum.
What else is going on that you're kind of uneducated or you're negligent that you don't recognize? Us and Stogies are the only wood structures left here on the block. Everyone else has burned down.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yes.
Yeah, because Wolf was telling me this was a old Victorian house.
Yes, it is.
It was pretty nice too. Like,
so the house itself had its own energy and its own history over the years, all the imprints energetically on the inside. Well, basically, yes, by me being here, I had like a lot of stuff come back up, a lot of I mean, it's hard to give language to that exactly, like it was just weird scenarios, exactly, paranormal phenomena, I don't know, however you want to give language to that. But I also really identify with crystals, and he has a lot of ancient jade burial death mass, and he's really into that Olmec. Yeah. So he really knew what I was into and talking about, and also taught me a lot of stuff. And exactly, by me living here, my stuff came back because, like, straight up, I know it's like, frankly, this was a place where I felt safe to be myself. And it was like one of the only places that I ever kind of like really felt that way. Like I didn't worry about anything, right? Like didn't worry about a relationship breaking up, didn't worry about having to move. There was nothing. Like this was so secure. These were my family. Like there's nothing outside. It was weird. And then because I got to go there, it gave me a time where I could turn within myself and face a lot of like truths about myself or like traumatic incidents or stuff like that, you know, things that I suppressed as a kid.
Oh my.
Relax. Don't get so emotional. Like we can't get all upset about the external influence. That's the whole point of like meditation and stuff like that. No matter what the external is, you have to keep your own inner like energy instead of being like changed depending on what energy is brought around you or pushed upon you. Yeah,
guys, for you, since there's no camera, I just turned around while she was all talking, and I got saw my face get upset because some guys right behind us in his car playing music pretty loud. We got a lot of noise going on. Obviously, they can hear. It's like, listen, man, nobody gives a shit about your music, all right?
That's not a very nice commentary. That's like somebody saying, I don't give a shit about listening to this podcast right now.
Yeah, but I'm not blasting.
Oh, look, when you said but, you discredit everything that was said before it.
No,
not recognizing the language.
No, like, there's a difference between us doing an interview right now, and I'm not yelling or screaming or not pushing this podcast out to people who don't want to listen to it versus me going around playing the podcast as loud as I can.
Right.
That's the difference. It's kind of like a noise ordinance thing.
it is gray area. It's about letting everyone have their own divine will. If he wants to blast his music as loud as he does, you know, like, I mean, how long do we have to deal with that for, like, 20 seconds? Like, was that so bad that he got to express himself that loudly for a moment? I mean...
Yeah, but I'm trying to express myself right now to, like, getting your story, and it was kind of, like, upsetting, too.
I understand that whole divine will thing, man.
Okay, so, how'd you get into the mermaid thing? That's actually pretty interesting. How'd that happen?
YouTube.
Really?
Straight up. I mean, I started... like, I had an underwater camera. I've always been drawn to the water. That goes back to my obsession with Lemurian Atlantis and all that other stuff like that. And, yes, I'm very naturally gifted in the water. I can hold my breath up to, like, 3 minutes. And I just love dynamic and static apnea. Like, I just love all that stuff. And I feel home when I'm in the water. I always have. I grew up on the water. My dad lives on a boat. It's just kind of, like, integrated who I am. I started producing YouTube videos of me, like, doing, you know, just silliness with my underwater camera, just thinking nothing about it. Just being me. And then I started getting, like, millions of views of, like, some cheesy, like, underwater videos that I made. And I started receiving also, like, frankly, that's how I met this man named John Jay. And John Jay told me about getting a mermaid tail. And John Jay suggested me a piece that was selling. And there's so much story. Like, this person was selling a mermaid tail and was ignoring my bid. And I didn't know why, and I was so persistent, so I cheated, and I had someone else contact them that was my photographer and throw in an extra $100 so I could buy the tail. Because I was like, I want this. It's so cheap. Like, come on. Like, I didn't really understand at the time, to be honest. I had no idea. I wanted it now. Like, there's all this storyline. But honestly, now that I do my homework backwards, I think that this person was starting their own business, making their own tails, and they were trying to get me to hold out to buy their product. And now that I didn't hold out to get their product, now I'm like, dang, I really wish I could be on your pod. But now they're like, you know, like, so there's a lot of drama. So like, exactly. So I was like, all right, I'm done with this mermaid thing too. But exactly, because I met John Jay, he suggested me getting the tail, and then I like got involved and I learned about all these different other background stories about the mermaid community and all. Exactly. You know, I've been doing this a long time, like since 2012, and like, there's so many things I could say, you know, it's just like... Well,
this episode's about you.
I hear you.
So you started doing tarot card reading, you did the mermaid. Something that I thought was really interesting that kind of sold me with when Wolf told me was the Juggalo and wrestling thing. So, like, you briefly like touched on that. That's hilarious. But like, what's up with that?
I mean, what you want to know about that?
Like, how'd you, like, all right, what came first?
Well, I was a juggalo. I mean, whoa, hold on, whoa, that's intense. That's interesting. Wow. So, definitely Juggalo became first because I was showing their music probably in, like, middle school. And then, I mean, I got so much story. Like, I don't know, I just, like, Psychopathic Records really... helped me through like a traumatic incident in my life, and like I'm an empath, so I like, and I'm what's called clairaudient. It's like, it means it's clear hearing, like it's a psychic gift kind of thing. That's what it's called. And like just like exactly when I hear certain stuff, it's like I hear other stuff. It's hard to explain. It's like subconscious messages that are coming at me, and I felt like that same vibe from that group, you can say. And then exactly by becoming involved, I felt like I was right on the money. And there's all this other stuff, like basically I did pro wrestling when I was like 16, and there's all this other drama in that too. Exactly.
Like what?
There's so much heat, like storyline and drama. Like people will say like one thing, but that didn't happen. Just it's like high school shit sometimes. Like, but I was a kid back then, and I was still dealing with that kind of drama even like outside of school. Like it's hard to explain. I was at wrestling school. It's hard to explain. I know, like nobody really talks about these things either, so it's like mad uncomfortable.
Well, let's go back to the wrestling.
Which part of it?
So you started back when you were 16.
Yeah.
And was it wrestling like wrestling since high school?
Wow. Or? Okay, so I'm gonna give you something on the interview that is kind of what you're asking, I feel like. So they do become integrated into one another. So it's really interesting. I don't know if you know, but JCW, Juggalo Championship Wrestling, actually kind of specializes in doing hardcore and death matches, which is basically like light tubes and like some self-mutilation type stuff, okay, like Legos and like I don't pain. Just think pain and blood. It's called Bloody Mania, like so stuff like that. All right, so I did not know that at the time. You know, I didn't think to that level. Like, I mean, I might have like imagined that it's complicated. I guess I didn't do my homework a lot, but the music did definitely help me through a lot. And then, like when the reason.
Oh my god.
All day.
Yeah,
I warn you. Basically, there's a lot of shadow, and I'm like trying so hard not to talk about like all that shadow, but there's just so much shadow in almost every story that you want to know about, and it's so hard to just, all right, let's talk about the positive stuff, not the stuff that everybody doesn't want to talk about that you already went through. Like, you know, it's hard. So like it's very complicated to stay cool a little bit when you're asking about select information, especially without giving you like, like you know, this like all this shit, all this heat, all the drama. So I'm just gonna be blunt with one of them, I suppose. I mean, I'll be honest, like straight up, I was a self-mutilator.
No
like,
shit.
I loved bloodletting. I loved all of that stuff.
So what did you do exactly?
Like I cut myself.
Like on where?
Like on my arms and like everywhere.
Well, like I'm looking at your arms right now. I don't see any scars.
Because I'm smart and I know how to heal myself. All right. There's certain like there's oils and stuff you can use. There's scar gel. There's tons of stuff to clean up. And of course I had to for modeling. You know what I'm saying? You can't have that stuff on your body. So that's that. I mean, there was just a way that I expressed myself, but then I also found exactly the ancient practice of it. But really, the whole thing for me was like the adrenaline, the complete, like, honestly, it's a high. It's like a super high that you get. And like, I'm not trying to encourage people to do that, so it's also weird to talk about that, you know what I'm saying? But like, when I did pro wrestling, like at the wrestling school, when I first got involved, my first school, CCW, like, just that adrenaline, like, was the same thing. And it was just like, it was better than running, because that was like my other thing that I would use to try to get out of that. But of course, like, I would always hit factory reset mode is what I call it. Like, whenever you go through stuff and you grow, and then like you go back to your old ways, you're like, oh, I'm gonna drink again, or like whatever is your self-destructive coping mechanism, you know what I'm saying? Everybody's got their thing. But I don't know. I don't even like, maybe it was the movie 13. Like, I think I was doing that before that movie though. So like, I do struggle to like figure out like, where did this child learn this? And I'll be honest, like, I produced like some crazy images of me covered with real wounds, and
wow,
I still have it. But exactly, all of that is shunned stuff, things we can't talk about. We're not, everybody always saying tell somebody if you want to die, but then as soon as we talk about it, we're like, we're gonna lock you up. Like, nobody can be honest anymore about the truth, right? Because exactly, the truth is all used against people now, or as always. Knowledge is power, and with great power comes great responsibility. So have
you ever been locked up?
Me been locked up? I
mean, not locked up, but like you just said like whenever you told, if you were to tell someone that you're self-mutilating or something like that, you were.
I got you.
Yeah, you just
okay.
said, yeah. Were you ever?
I wasn't sure where you're going. I have been arrested once and slept in jail once. That was traumatic and made me say I'll never be a villain again. So I was like, no. Yeah, that's funny. And then the second part, though, bear with me.
Second time you locked up?
Yeah. Straight up, yes, I was Baker acted at my will. At my will, that's what it's called in Florida. I confided in someone else, and then she asked if I wanted help, and then I submitted myself to this institution. Basically, it's called Columbia in like West Palm Beach. I know it's really messed up to talk about this, and it's kind
no, it's not.
Well, it's kind of humiliating, and exactly, a lot of people are like, get help, and I'm like, I'm not gonna listen to this person anymore because obviously they're crazy and they don't understand the ancient practice or they don't understand any of it, or how it releases, or how it's good to, you know, not to actually let go of some blood for some people. There's so many different levels of it, but yeah, honestly, it was like one of the coolest things that ever happened to me, because I met like so many wild souls, to say the very least. I mean, it's kind of sad though too, because I'm like 80% sure one of the people I met there did follow through and you know, check out. I'm not fully certain about that though. Like, I'm an empath, so like if things get too haywire sometimes, like like autistic meltdown. I like shut down and I can't process. I can't be around. You can't be in my toroidal field because it affects me too much. Like it's too much.
So you were what's the other word for bigger actor? You were
committed.
Yeah, there we go. I was trying to think of the word. So you were what were you committed for? Was it the mutilation?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll be honest. I talked my way out of it. I was like, yeah, it's just a poor coping mechanism. I'm just gonna start running. I got out and like instantly, but like it wasn't. But it was like weird being in there. Like there was girls that were like, you have no idea the visuals I had to deal with. Like they're trying to like injure themselves and help each other injure themselves, and just like you witness all kinds of things like being in there. And like I'm warning people, like try not to go there after 18 because there's all kinds of drama that falls there after. Luckily I haven't been there since, but it's like the principle that like exactly like I can't be me without you judging me and trying to put me in a box. Basically, it's frightening. And then it makes me think of psychotronics. I don't know if you about that, about like where basically it's like a type of warfare that basically like it makes people go crazy. Certain hertz, vibrational levels, like it's almost like it's a type of torture. Huh?
Talk about harmonics.
That's interesting that you use the word harmonics. Well, it's kind of like the same thing. Like hertz, it's like kind of like pain, but HERTZ. Like
hertz.
Yeah, the vibrational force. Yeah, man. I'm definitely channeling a lot of different stuff off your energy.
Sorry,
I'm definitely channeling a lot of stuff off your energy.
Oh, yeah. What are you channeling?
Well, you definitely seem like a starseed. Like, that's why you're drawn to all the Rick and Morty stuff. Rick and Morty is like...
Wait, what's a starseed?
A starseed's kind of like an indigo child, crystal child. There's all kinds of, like, cheesy language for it.
Well, what's the definition of it?
Not from Earth Soul?
Okay. That's as good as we're gonna get.
Yeah, for real. Starseeds.
That makes sense.
Some people are from Pleiades, some people are from Arcturus, some people are from Zeta, Alpha Centauri, Sirius. Rick and Morty is kind of to me like for our parents it was Simpsons, South Park,
Flintstone. Well,
I'm thinking of like adult cartoons that were more geared towards us, but really like were like intellectual cartoons for them.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Well, that's kind of what Rick and Morty is for like us. But not just that, but like think about it. If you think about the Pickled Rick episode, like I used to like, to be honest.
What's episode?
Pickled Rick.
Yeah, Pickled Rick.
Alright, so I used to kind of like
episode.
be totally anti Rick and Morty, to be honest, before I ever watched it. I was just like, God, it looks so stupid. I had no education that it was talking about quantum physics and like multiple dimensions and multiple galaxies and everything and hidden in plain sight. So that Pickled Rick episode, exactly, everybody worships that thing, but like that episode is like prime for reminding you 9/11's an inside job, and also the psycho like analysis and having like basically a relationship or communication with any individual in the therapy session. I don't know if you like exactly if you can wrap your mind around that episode. Like that's what I'm saying. There's all this subliminal stuff.
Actually, it was just like actually it was a pretty good episode for therapy because they admitted that Rick like the therapist, if I remember, was Susan Sarandon, and she said it was actually pretty powerful. It's like, yeah, therapy is not fun or dangerous like what stuff you do. But it's maintaining and cleaning and helping. That's all therapy's supposed to be. Like, it's not going to be like science what you're into, but it's there to actually make you a little bit healthier so you can enjoy that, the science part. That's kind of like the metaphor at the end, or the message at the end.
I hear you. Like, for me personally, with therapy, like when I write down the word therapist, if we write down therapist on a piece of paper, it says the rapist. Like, you allow somebody else to tell you how to dictate your mind.
Yeah.
How to think, how to feel, that you're supposed to feel this way, or that this should be analyzed this way. Like, I'm not really, like, all about that. I'm all about communicating with people how I feel, though I'm not about people telling me how to feel or what to do or how to be. Like, I'm very about me finding my own way and, like, letting exactly everyone be their own divinity instead of, like, us telling everybody that you're supposed to be this, or, like, everybody else is like this, why are you like that? Like to me that's just like totally awful and like corrosive to all of us, because if you're like this, like you can't know how I feel, closing your arms up or whatever, then I'm gonna mirror you.
Come back to the mic.
Yeah, excuse me. I hear you.
So we gotta go back to the wrestling part because
right on.
So you started doing wrestling, so because there's wrestling, which I did in high school, which is the sport, and it's just the old Greco wrestling that's turned into modern wrestling, and then there's professional wrestling, was more theater. Which one did you do?
Pro wrestling. So
you did more the theatric wrestling. How'd you get into that?
Funny story. So I love wrestling. It's kind of like an addiction. It feels good for me. Like, I love it. It just feels great. And I don't know. I went to the mall. I met another person who had a mohawk. I had a mohawk at the time. Mm-hmm. He had a Jeff Hardy charm. And, like, instantly became bros, basically. It was 4th of July. We went to Central Park. We literally wrestled in the pouring rain. Like, non-sexual, just, like, legit, like, mad energy. It was awesome. And I started dating this person, of course. And, like, he was a backyard wrestler at the time. And I still had a lot of followers back then, so exactly, I was a kid, and all these people are projecting shit on me. Mm-hmm. And so, like, I started telling him what they were telling me, because they were giving us shit that it was backyard wrestling, not pro wrestling, and that exactly we're creating harm and risk and blah, 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 blah. And then, so I motivated him to try out, like, a pro wrestling school instead if he was really passionate about it, and he really wanted to make it to, like, a bigger industry or whatever, for him to go. And since we were dating, we rode together. Okay, and so that's how I ended up in the ring with him there. And then from being there, like, they actually, at the school I went to, they wouldn't train me at the time because I was underage.
Oh, okay.
Drama. I was, like, pissed because exactly, they let me roll around a bit, and by even giving me, like, that bit of experience, like, it made me know. I, like, because of my look, my mohawk, I attracted the attention of, they were called Pro Wrestling Fusion at the time. Mm-hmm. I came out as a ring girl. It was pretty cool. Exactly. You imagine a mohawk chick and, like, exactly bathing suit, like, it was interesting. It was like the principal, though, because he knew all along that I was meant to be in wrestling. Like, he saw it in me from when I was a kid. And he tried to tell me exactly, like, you can fight this all you want. This is, like, what you're meant to do. And then, you know, like, I failed my match, okay? Like, there's, like, a lot of humility that goes into, like, a lot of that stuff, believe it or not. I know you're, like, I want to be like, you're brainwashed and you think that it's all theatrics. There's a lot of other stuff that goes into it. Psychology. There's so much stuff you just have no understanding. And exactly, like, I'm not going to take away from the business and talk about those things because it's like an honor and respect type thing about that aspect of it. And if you choose to go to pro wrestling school, that's totally on you. I do push people to go to the school I'm at now, of course, the Team Vision Dojo, or the I Believe in Wrestling School. I've actually been with Chasen since I was a kid, of course, and like we both grew up around this. We both were at 16 training in pro wrestling, so it's kind of interesting connecting the dots backwards how we ended up together. Again, me back in training. Just keep in mind that I've had, you don't know this, but like I've been on and off in wrestling since 16, and like I lived in here for a long time, but when I moved out of here, literally after I moved out of here, I don't know, I had all this energy to travel and to go do things after I'd been here and had roots for like 3 years or whatever. And I decided to travel, and I reached out to, Juggalo Championship Wrestling. Mm-hmm. And, they had reached out to me before, and, now I had the time and means. So I was like, exactly, hey, what's up? And there's actually kind of a backstory behind that too. So I was... Excuse me, those people. It was Christmas. Mm-hmm. I'm driving with my dad to go see my grandma. I go see Grandma. Grandma doesn't recognize me. Grandma has Alzheimer's and forgot who I am. I'm all upset, crying on the way home, and my dad tries to break the ice. Dad goes, "You ever gonna get back into wrestling?" Mm-hmm. Keep in mind, I haven't done it for like 3-4 years. Like, it's been a while. I'm like, Dad, remember, I'm all upset. I'm like, Dad, never wrestling again unless I work for Juggalo Championship Wrestling as the Toxic Ball. And a lot of people don't understand that inappropriate name. It actually comes from a joke it's kind of an inside family joke, though it's also like about, frankly, exactly my grandma had a medical condition which allowed her to lose control of her bowels, and she worked for a major corporation that would have paid for disability for alcoholism, though not for her more important to me medical condition.
What's the name of the condition?
Well, I mean, it was like colitis attacks. Like,
okay.
Yeah, exactly,
Okay.
exactly. So she had so it was just the principle to me that like it felt like they had no respect for humankind, but I could be an alcoholic and you'd pay for my just struck a nerve. So I made a joke that that's going to be who I become. I'm going to lose control of my bowels because I have high anxiety and like because I eat like garbage. Like that's all. That's what it is. All, to be honest, from the homework that I've done on it. Plus all the aluminum she drank from and a lot of other things. Though, sure as shit, 6 months later, I'm the toxic ball for JC Dub. And that's just kind of what ended up happening. I mean, now I'm still struggling to make sense. I'm supposed to go see Grandma soon. It's coming up Christmas, right?
Yeah.
Like, even though she has Alzheimer's, she kind of speaks a lot of really cryptic messages. So my intuition is telling me I'm supposed to go there by myself and just see what she says. Because last time we were there, she kind of started talking cryptically about me going to Bali. Which is really weird because that's something, like, spiritual for me that's been going on. Interesting, too. But, I don't know. We'll see.
Like, sorry, we got a little bit...
I know. We're, like, fucking all over the place.
Yeah, we went down a couple of rabbit holes at once. So... You got 16. You somehow got to the Juggalo Wrestling. How long did you do that for?
I honestly worked 2 shows, maybe 3. I'm like losing track. Maybe 4. Maybe 4. I don't know, man. I don't know. Like basically, like I followed them around for a while. Like my intuition just kind of sent me there, and honestly, I felt like what I call a psychopathic soldier. Like because they helped me so much. Like I'm an empath. I saw some stuff going down. I felt a need to reach out and tell them what was coming through for them personally. And I had to do my part. I did my part. And that's what that's like right now. I'm planning on being at the gathering. Perhaps. It is the 25th anniversary, or something like that. I mean, I don't really know. I'm not that big of a mark. It's hard to explain. Like I'm a fan. It's really hard to explain. It's hard to explain. There's a lot of background story to the psychopathic people don't know about, by the way. Like the last album that came out, it mentioned truth is we follow God. We've always been behind him. The carnival is God and may all juggalos find him. But a lot of people don't know that. A lot of people got addicted to ICP because they liked it for the twisted message they were singing, not knowing that was like a lure to kind of get everybody to change and recognize about returning to the butterfly is what it's called. And there's like a lot of other subliminal messages there that I'm kind of passionate about. So, like, it was important to me to do that. So that is kind of up in the air right now, exactly. If I want to wrestle, I can go down to, I can go to Orlando. But think about it. I got to drive 2 hours to Orlando, 2 hours back. And if I go, I'm going to commit to, like, a couple days is what I do.
I'm kind of confused right now.
Yeah.
So the Juggalo Wrestling you only did twice, or?
Right. Like, when you work, think about it. When you work for, like, a wrestling federation... You work their events. You understand? Yeah. Like I had one match, like an actual match for JC Dub. Okay. My debut match, which I totally got my ass kicked, and my wig handed to me. Let's just put it that way, my clown rainbow wig, to give you a better wig. Yeah. Last year, I was or this year should I say, I did commentary, or not commentary so much as like ring announcer, but like yeah. Yeah, it was interesting. Like, I was literally shaking in my bones. Like, I don't do so well with public speaking and stuff like that. I mean, sometimes it depends on who I'm working with and exactly what kind of energy is going on around us. 'Cause I'm an empath, so it, like, changes everything. It's awful, but awesome at the same time sometimes. Okay.
Juggalo Wrestling, that's off. So what else did you do? Like, what
did you know that we're classified gang members?
I did not know that.
Yeah, if you listen to Insane Clown Posse, the FBI has classified anyone that has the Hatchet Man as a gang member. And we marched on Washington trying to raise awareness, and no one heard our message. And now anybody that listens to this music group is a gang banger. You know?
Yeah, but they did that with a lot of different musicians too. They did that with the Wu-Tang Clan.
Did they? Did they with Wu-Tang? No way.
There was a famous...
Wu-Tang. No way!
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Wait a minute. What's the F? I might
Yeah,
get that wrong. I know it's the NYPD for sure. Was trying to go after the Wu-Tang Clan. I think the FBI did too. I have to double check. But I remember reading cool.
FBI definitely classified us. That just bothered me because exactly that's like saying if I'm like I was gonna say Rockefeller. I don't know if I'm a fan of something that doesn't mean like exactly if I'm a fan of Rick and Morty. I'm a fucking.
Well,
fan.
they weren't going after the fans. They were going after the bands. I remember there was this one song. It was I think it's called Louie Louie by the Kingsmen. There's an old '60s song that the FBI did full investigation on them because they did not know what the lyrics meant. So the FBI actually investigated this band for this song that's still played to today.
So much drama. Like, why can't people just be? Why is there so much judgment and
Yeah,
control?
they did that with a lot of famous people too. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was watched by the FBI.
Ernest Hemingway.
I don't remember that.
He was watched by the FBI.
I gotta look into that one. I don't remember hearing the story about that one, but I know for sure that's that band Louie Louie. Then you had Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
Have you seen the interview with Prince where he talks about chemtrails?
No.
He talks about chemtrails, and then he dies after.
Yeah, he died of a fentanyl overdose.
You know how easy that is?
Yeah, it's pretty easy because it's a very addictive opioid.
Gotta do your homework.
Yeah. So, what else have you done in your life? So, what else cool things have you done? Like you were the mermaid. Now you're doing the tarot reading.
Right on. My coolest experiences I had so far is I recently went to the Edgar Cayce ARE. It's like it's an educational center. Edgar Cayce is kind of like Nostradamus. Is the best way to explain it to people. A lot of people don't know who he is. He's called the Sleeping Prophet. He's like one of the most historic psychics, and he did like a lot of medical research and stuff like that. I also got the pleasure of going to the Georgia Guidestones, which are kind of like a joke that they're Satan's 10 Commandments because the top number one thing is talking about lessening the population to 1 million people. And it's really cool. It's like a big giant monument out in Georgia, and you can see it in like I want to be like all 7 languages, but I don't really know how many languages it is. But it's like literally every language, and it's so fascinating to see the sacred geometry and like to feel that energy. And exactly like people thought it wasn't real, and so it was like so nice to go there. I recently went to Bellingham, Washington. That was probably like some of the best energy that I've ever felt anywhere. Like they're so under the radar there, basically. It's just like, yeah, everybody's like cash run business. Everybody is basically growing their own food. Like people are so loving and kind. Mm-hmm. There's just, I don't know, I want to be like, the air's better there. I don't know, it's just better. Like there's something good about being there. Other than that, I mean, I like diving. I recently got to do a shark tagging adventure. I mean, I just did a autism awareness mermaid event yesterday. I mean, like, exactly. Like, I stay busy.
Yeah, you seem like a really busy person.
Well, I mean, otherwise I'd have no life unless I built something for myself and entertained myself.
Yeah.
Instead of giving someone else responsibility for me.
Very true. All right, we're going to go to the question part of the interview.
Oops.
For everyone that's listening to the interview for the first time, or the podcast for the first time, I asked these questions at the last half of the interview. Basically, these questions are supposed to show another side of a person. The reason why I ask these questions because we live in a world today where we just judge the book by its cover and we don't give people a chance. And also, especially what's going on with the elections and the adversity with politics, I really believe that we should sit down and actually get to know a person before we judge a person. So these questions are supposed to show that we can always connect to another person. We can always relate to another person if we sit down and actually talk to them. So we'll get started. Given the choice of anyone in the world from any time period, who would you want as a dinner guest and why?
Say that one more time. If I was to what?
Given the choice of anyone in the world from any time period, who would you want as a dinner guest and why?
As a dinner guest? Like, I almost want to be like Albert Einstein. Or Elon Musk, you know? I don't know. I want to talk to, like, somebody who I can pick their brain and talk about quantum mechanics and string theory and, like, how about Michael Tazarian? I mean, I don't know. I would love to have dinner with like so many different people and pick people's brains, but like exactly, like it's just like there's so. How about Marilyn Monroe, Princess Diana? I mean, there's just so many people's brains I would just love to pick and to have certain questions with. I mean, though, if you like think about it, though, if you really want to get down to it, like think about it. The way that I'm trying to think about it is think about it. Who are you gonna sit down and want to buy dinner and sit with the whole time, not like walk away and exactly just spend mad time with that person? How about Nikola Tesla? I would pick Tesla. I want to talk Tesla. That's why I want to talk Tesla. I want to talk about 369. That is like the be all end all of like everything from my understanding so far.
What's 369?
Tesla, like. It's I'm gonna be like, I can't explain it. Like, I don't even know what to tell you to look up to backtrace the like research of it. And I don't know enough about it to kind of like educate you. You know what I'm saying? I like get because I empath things. I like feel things. But also, I'll be honest. I'm pretty sure I have autism, so I have like a really hard time like letting out like overstimulating and
have
like.
you ever been diagnosed with anything?
No, I wish. I kind of wish. I would love to have like a $10,000 neural brain scan and see what's up in there. You know, is there anxiety? Is there depression? Like, of course, like show me on paper like the real shit instead of like trying to put me in a box. Like, I want to know chemicals and all of that. But at the same time, I'm not trying to be someone's rat study. Like, I'm 90% sure I'm on the spectrum. Like, from everything that I've done my research on, like, I'm pretty sure I'm pretty like I mainly identify with Asperger's. Like, I'm very high functioning. I can mask and mirror very, very well. And like girls definitely go under the radar more than boys, and there's like multiple different levels of this stuff. I don't even know how to tell you about that, but
okay. What would constitute a perfect day for you?
Perfect day?
Yeah.
I want to be like diving and being underwater, like scuba diving and a great meal.
Where do you scuba dive around here?
I love Blue Heron Bridge. That's one of my favorite places to go ever. That's down in West Palm Beach. It's just like a little, like, I want to be like little hole in the wall spot. I mean, just like a little secret spot down in Fort Lauderdale. I mean, it's just like, it's not like biggest driving or anything, but it's just like so far where I've been in my life, I've had the luxury of going there. I would love to do a shark diving thing. That's definitely coming up and hopefully very soon. But the waters are getting cold, so I'm going to have to like I want to be like, I'm probably going to have to eat shit and put on my wetsuit, you know? Like, it's either that or like, or wait. I'm tired of waiting. So I'm trying to like, I've been taking, something I've been really doing is I honestly made a bucket list. And I started just knocking things off left and right. That's just my own personal thing.
What's on that bucket list?
I'm like, which part? I wonder if I even still have it on here. I do have it in my email somewhere. Yeah. I mean, like, not looking at the list is going to be a little bit harder, but I want to go to Egypt. I want to go to Ireland. I'd like to go to Australia. I need to go skydiving. I'd love to see the Sphinx. The Sphinx is an absolute must. If I had my way, I'd get inside and see the copper that was in the Bronze Age. Shark diving, absolutely necessities. Like, man, you're really challenging me. Like, that's really hits home. I need to be asked those kinds of questions, believe it or not. I'm trying to ask myself exactly, if I'm going to die tomorrow, what is legit serious on that list? What are my loose ends? I want to be like, I want to hug my dad. Give him a big fat kiss. Hug my mom and my brother. I mean, like, I got mad love for my family. I guess, I mean, it's important for me to like make sure that everyone receives love, I guess. Like, there's something like that going on. I have some books I wrote that are like diaries and shit that I definitely have given permission to be leaked when I'm dead. There's a video of me that's supposed to be released that when I die, it's actually a quest, a game called Vorton's List, and it's my final quest, and everyone will be encouraged to participate. It's like, I mean, there's a couple different things that are on there. You know, there's nothing really urgent at this point anymore. I mean, I still have some like few little loose ends I feel like I'm tying up on an energetic scale before I like quantum jump again, or however you choose to give language to that. And I don't know, part of me is excited, and I feel like I'm like kind of going there now. Like I recently started studying this thing called QHHT. It's quantum hypno healing therapy. It's where you access your own Akashic records and you talk about your multiple lives before. It's insane. It's totally insane. It's amazing at the same time. I'm actually right now at this second while we're doing this uploading my video right now that I did like a couple months ago in San Jose, California, of me in this guided meditation telling my own freaking story, which I thought was complete bullshit until my last story, which I freaked out.
What was the story?
Oh, really? You're making me repeat the story even though the story's already out there? I mean, it's a really intense story.
Okay.
Oh, man. Like, it mainly makes more sense when you watch all the other videos or, like, the other lives before the fourth life. Because you gotta remember, we're going backwards. So all the other lives are after that lifetime, those contracts, those inheritance. Okay? They want me to channel to you and let you know that there's Akashic and then there's ancestral. You are both inside you. You are stardust, though you are also your stone and your bone. Your ancestral, the way that I tell you that story, is how many people in your family had to make love until you could exist right here before me. That's ancestral. That's how far back you go. That's ancestral, and your stone and your bone. And then there's a soul level. Like, the best way to put that is exactly look at a dead person. The light's gone in their eyes. Look at the light in your eyes. Who is your soul? That is your soul. That is so different. You're not like your family. Exactly. You chose your family. You chose to come here. You chose everything you ever went through. It's like a quantum level. Like, it is so deep. From me doing my own records, I found out I am living 2,792 lives. I found out I was a dog my first life, and I came here to experience love. That love story, it's a love story, to be honest. It's a fucking intense love story. And the other thing that I was angling at about the other lives is, like, so every lifetime before I got up to this, I was a kid. Because the first question that she asks you when she does that guided meditation for your last 4 lives, the first question is, so, where are you? Who's your parents? Like, stuff like that. Or, like, take me to the first important day of your life. This life, I skip all of that shit. My first important day of my life is I'm a student. I'm a boy. I'm in love with the teacher before me. Madly in love with the teacher. Teacher gets sick because teacher gives students everything she has and they drain her for all that she is. My families are big hoo-hoos in the town. We have, like, a big crop. I saw everything. Remote viewing, everything in my head. Showed me everything. I can still see it. A lot of people can't remember. I have goosebumps. Yeah, my families are big foo-foos, big somebodies or whatever. My dad's like a mad scientist with plants. And then my mom is like all subservient to my dad kind of thing, like super loyal. Oh, man. I'm pretty sure she was an indigenous woman. She was a Native American. I just found that out. Like, yeah. It's so cool. She was so loyal to him. Like, they were both, like, tag team. And, like, I love my parents. And exactly, like, I told the teacher that I could heal her. Because I want a teacher, right? And I save her. But when I did that, I took away her divinity by letting her think that I could heal her. So I created what's called a healing contract. So in every life, she's inherited with me. The story gets more beautiful, actually. I want to tell you my favorite part, and it's the ending. And I'm going to get there in just a moment. So I'm only shown 3 scenes in this life, and they ain't pretty. So yeah, I mean, the next scene is exactly parents die, I guess, and me and her live in the house. I can see everything perfectly. The house is made of wood. The house is surrounded by plants. We grow our own food. And my girl, she had collected like lettuce and tomatoes, onions. She collected all of this shit to make me a dinner. And she lit a candle. She's trying to bang me. I'm upstairs to the 3rd room to the left, inside my office, surrounded by bookshelves, at my desk, trying so hard to write this science paper. And I'm pushing her away, being a dick. And the reason why that day is so important, because she ends up dying, and I spend my entire life obsessing about that day, how I could have carried on our children. And that's why in other lives we have children. Yeah. There's a more pretty fun part. I've never officially done hallucinogens, and it made sense why after I found out this information. So in the dream, it turns out, or like exactly, I mean, I wasn't dreaming, I was awake. It was interesting. The last scene I'm shown is I'm in the garden and I'm butt-ass naked and I'm fucking tripping balls and I'm overdosing on hallucinogens, like some type of mushroom or something that's growing in the garden. The reason why I do it is because every time I'm high, I'm with her in the garden, and I'm happy again. It just owned me. I was like, fuck. And what's more fucked up is before I did that, I did this thing called it's called an Akashic record reading. And I'll be honest, I paid 2 different people $250, 2 people that didn't know each other, to try to tell me where my soul was from and tell me my story, what my purpose was, all of that stuff, which was really interesting to do, especially then to do the QHHT thing after, to have me tell me my own story by me choosing what I want to know into the records. In Thor, the movie Thor, they showed you the Akashic records. That Rainbow Bridge, the Guardian, that's the Akashic records. They're very well guarded. Everyone has access to their own records. Like, I've always identified with Chinese medicine and like Native American. There's a lot of things I identify with that people won't understand because of what I look like now in this life. But in my past lives, when I told my story, it made sense. Though at the same time, like there's other stuff going on. Exactly, like my grandma's Cherokee, and there's all kinds of other stuff going on.
Okay, we're gonna move on to the next question.
Okay.
If you could change anything about the way you were raised, what would it be?
Fascinating. I almost want to be a dick and say nothing. Like, I gotta tell you the truth, man. Like, I used to fucking hate how poor I grew up. And then, I didn't even really grow up that poor, but, in my childhood mind, I was poor. But then, now that, I'm older, I'm kind of glad I went through that experience, because of having that experience, it made me rich to never treat homeless people like shit. Or look down upon them or judge them for drug use. Or, for example, I'll be honest, I've had sexual abuse experiences. Because I've went through that, I've helped a lot of women, not kill themselves, or, exactly bring language to those things, or have someone they can confide in. Another thing that made me rich, domestic violence. Because I went through that, I can identify and notice when people are doing those behavioral patterns, even on, non-sexual relationships, like parents doing it to children, and, you know what I'm saying? My pain was my paycheck. All of my experiences, I mean, it's all part of the divine plan is what it feels like. Exactly every little thing. I could try to say, oh, I wish I didn't flip my mom's glass table, or I wish, you know what I'm saying? But, honestly, that was all part of it. If that didn't happen, this next synchronicity wouldn't have happened. It was all part of my own personal footprints.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Because you just mentioned, sexual abuse. Do you blame yourself for that?
I understand. That's a good question.
No, because I think I'm not sure if I misheard you or not. Yeah, I think I just misheard you. So do you?
You're good. You're good. So I will admit that when I was a kid, to be completely to put everything on the record, I think when I was a baby, I think something happened to me. And I think I was crying while it happened, and someone was a sadist. I can't prove that, but I'm pretty sure that happened. And then sexual abuse causes you to be hypersexual.
Yeah.
I was very hypersexual, you could say, or just sensual, or exactly. People said because I wore short shorts and tube tops all the time, that I'm asking for it. Or exactly, and in some ways, and to be completely blunt, in some ways I feel yes, I hadn't had anyone ever at that time. And because this we're transferring into my 15-year-old stage where I know for a fact something happened, by the way. Okay, I'll tell that story too. Yeah, so exactly. So I guess I was dressed that way, and people tried to tell me that exactly that was my subconscious way of portraying a message that, yeah, I was welcoming that energy because I was just doing it to myself at the time and all of that stuff. But basically I fell asleep in someone's house. I slept in their brother's room. I kidnapped their PJ pants. The brother was supposed to be sleeping at someone else's house. And so, I took over that room while everyone else stayed downstairs playing a game or whatever. And I go there, and I guess brother comes home, crawls into bed with me, touches me while I'm sleeping. I wake up covered in blood. And I didn't know, but that was, basically my virginity being taken away from me. And I didn't know that at the time.
How old was this?
15.
15.
I was here when I faced that, by the way. Thanks to being at the museum. That's what I'm saying. I used to black out so much. And, it would drive me insane. I would feel awful about myself, how much I would just, black certain stuff out. And I knew it had to do with trauma and PTSD. So, by the way, I've had a psychic and other people show up to me like that have told me that I shouldn't have done that or you need to be careful doing that because it's possible that I couldn't have come out after trying to do that. So what I did personally is I came in and I went to the most traumatic event I can remember, which was that. And then, like, the moment the two dots connected, the whole blood and, like, losing my innocence, like, my whole body just... like, yeah, so that fucked with me. But that was also really empowering, too, you know, to, like, to face that. There's also other weird stuff, too, to be honest, like that event, that ding, being touched while you're sleeping, the same exact thing happened to my mom the same exact night, even though I was in Cooper City and she was in Coconut Creek. Like, both, like, you know, like an hour away. It was just really weird, and I never told my mom that, so, like, yeah, this is on the record now, but, like, okay. I'm just now coming out about, like, all these truth things, to be honest. I'm talking about all these things on my YouTube. Like, it needs to come out. I need to clear the negative charge. I'm accepting my truth, and I'm, like, just moving ahead at all costs.
Okay. Alright, that's good. That's good that you're reconciling that. I'm sorry that happened to you, too. Okay, we're gonna move on to the next question. If you're gonna wake up tomorrow with no memories except for one, which one would you keep?
Aww. 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 One memory. Oh my god. Well, that's like a really intense question, because then it's like exactly, like, that's like a secret, you know, in some ways, because exactly, like, you could hurt other people's feelings and stuff like that if you actually go there. And then, like, not just that, but I have to actually pick something. One memory to rule them all. Wow. You make me be like, would it be a happy one? What's the one thing that would be holding on to? Would it have to be?
It's wherever you want to be.
Could it be a memory that I can't remember right now? You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to remember my times in Lemuria and back in Atlantis. Excuse me. Interesting. Wow. I mean, I've just had so many amazing times in my life, and just, like, especially lately. And, like, to, like, try to measure that up on a 26, like, linear scale is, like, near impossible. It's, like, literally the hardest question I've ever been asked in my life. I'm like, Wow. One moment to live out forever? Alright, I'll give you an answer. Alright, so you want to know what is an amazing feeling that would be amazing to just do all the time if you could just be in that moment all that time?
Yeah, what is it?
It's called Fago Armageddon, bro. I know, it's a bad joke. It's not like, but it's, okay, so Fago Armageddon is like, it's the last track of ICP at a live show. And we shake up Fagos everywhere, and we let the crowd go crazy. Like that means everyone, loud on stage. Grab a Fago bottle, shake it up, and we're gonna have showers. I mean, just sometimes it can be so nice getting lost in that moment. I mean, I had an amazing moment yesterday. Bro, life, like, this girl, I had this little girl come up to me who saw me in my mermaid tail. She ran up to me like she knew me. And her mom was like, oh my god, I've never seen her act that way. And oh my god, I swear to god, it was like she knew me. She came up to me, put her hand on my face. And it was just like, such like a bliss moment of just like feeling so seen in my soul for who I was. And like, also just like so loved and like held for a moment. That was definitely a good moment. I mean, other than that, I feel like I got nothing. I mean, like, I want to be like, exactly, times with my dad. There's certain smells that can I just pick a smell forever?
Yeah. There's no right or wrong answers to this. We'll move on to the next question.
Right on. Interesting. Huh.
What's the biggest sacrifice you made in your life?
Biggest sacrifice. Huh. I mean, there's so many different ways that could be perceived and things that I could like pick for that. I know. These questions are like killing me. These basic questions. Ask again.
We'll move on to the last question then.
Right.
This is the last question, the question I ask everyone on the podcast. It's a deep question, and it's also a two-parter question.
Okay.
What is the worst thing you have ever done in your life, and what's the best thing you ever done in your life?
Worst thing I've ever done. See, like, some of your questions kind of like drive me off.
Go back to the mic.
Some of your questions drive me off the handlebars because, like, exactly what you perceive to be like worse.
This is
like,
all about your perception of it.
Right on.
Yeah.
Like, does that mean like a guilty conscience?
It's something that you feel guilty about, than something that you feel like is something that you hold most valuable in your life, the best thing you've ever done in your life, and that's all up to your perception.
What I wanted to be like, I felt like they were both the same exact thing.
How
Speaking
so?
my truth.
What,
It was the worst thing that I've ever done, coming out and telling all my whole story lately, because exactly it sheds light on my family and a lot of things that people don't like to look at, especially look at me in that way when they have known me so far. But also the best thing I've ever done was speaking my truth, because at the same time it dropped all the other people who were only liking me because of some box they tried to put me in, instead of really loving me for all that I was, instead of who they wanted me to be. So it was both shit end of the stick and also the greatest thing that's happened is the truth. Because exactly, think about it, it's so embarrassing to tell those truths, and then exactly, you're basically the self-sacrifice. That's also why that sacrifice question kind of got me. Exactly, my truth is kind of a sacrifice. Every time, like, I mean, exactly, every time you have a relationship with someone, it's a sacrifice. I mean, there's so many different parables of that too, so that's why it kind of triggered me too. That was like, there's so, like, my whole life was my sacrifice. Every day I pay the price to live, and the price I pay is how am I spending. How am I spending my time? Am I crying? Am I miserable? Am I helping other people? That's what I'm dying for. That's literally what I'm doing with my life. So therefore, I'm dying for that cause.
Well, I want to ask you a question that it's not on the list that I normally ask.
Give it to me.
Do you ever feel worried how people might perceive you? Because
yeah, I mean, it's interesting that you go there. I mean, that's exactly what I dealt with in the beginning, to be honest. It's funny, on the record we were talking earlier about Pro Wrestling Fusion. You know, he also told me I had to stop swinging my hatchet. When I was 15 years old, told me I had to stop swinging my hatchet and be like, basically like Playboy bunny, like typical pretty blonde girl.
What do you mean by swinging your hatchet?
Like, squaring, what'd you say?
What do you mean by swinging your hatchet?
Like exactly, like how am I, kind of how I am now, like just being so blunt and open and on the record about things. Okay.
So going back to the original question, are you afraid how people might perceive you?
I'll be honest, I used to be, and I used to walk on eggshells, and I didn't want certain corporations to know stuff about me and stuff like that. And then, frankly, at this point, I'm realizing that it's best for me to just be transparent as possible, because I don't want to be surrounded by people who, like, aren't going to be human with me and that aren't going to understand that I've made mistakes, exactly, and that, or, like, let me be. If you're not going to let me be, like, it's like, honestly, it's like I want to say it's I was going to say ICP, but it's actually a band called Twisted that used to be on Psychopathic Records. They straight up say in a line in a song, if I can't live my life the way I want to live my life, then why can't I die? You won't let me do either. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you're killing my soul anyway. So it's hard to say. Like, I've just learned that it's better to not pay the price of my soul and compromise my overall well-being and myself than for a paycheck.
Yeah.
For me personally.
The reason why I asked this question.
Politics?
No, because this is a very intense interview, and
Oh, you weren't sure if I wanted all this out there.
No, like I was thinking this would be blunt. I'm having second thoughts actually producing this interview live because I don't want on producing this interview for the podcast because one is so intense and two I don't want people thinking negatively of you or the show too. So there's some selfishness into that too. There's selfishness because I gotta worry about my
image.
Yeah, the brand of the show.
Precisely. People don't want to hear this stuff. People don't want to talk about sexual abuse.
No, because I had I did have people who came on the show and talked about sexual abuse. One of them I did a whole episode on rape. But this one is very like a tense episode, and two things come to mind. Like one, which is the selfish part of my show, and the second one is like I don't want people. I don't want this coming back and hurting you.
Well, what I want to ask you is how would it really hurt either of us just for us being our individual truth and self person? Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
I mean, just like what Wolf says about his place.
Yeah.
Like, we're not for everyone. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like his joke is we're for the intellectually curious. Like, people that actually are inquisitive and aren't going to be judging books by their covers and know what's going on. I mean, it's obviously your choice of what you're going to do with your image, which I'm letting you know on an honest level exactly. I learned the hard way by making my image go dark. And exactly, then once people, that's what you need to know. When you do theater and you perform in a certain type of way.
Oh, ma'am, you okay? You okay, ma'am? Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. A couple...
Yeah, you're drawing some attention to the booth because I'm doing a...
Yeah, a couple of sightseers came up and then she fell down the stairs.
Because I think I'm doing readings.
Yeah. Yeah, and she was trying to check out what was at the door. But I'm sorry, go ahead. Finish what you're saying.
You're good.
Yeah, she came out right behind me.
I understand.
Yeah.
Well, I was just talking about how you have to make that choice for yourself. Like, once you do your image, there's no going back. And it doesn't matter how you perceive your artwork. What it matters is how are other people judging it. No matter what you create, people are always going to have their own touch on it. So it's up to you to just do your part. And only you know what part you want to add to the collective. Mm-hmm. Exactly. I didn't really know what your intention was with this interview. Mm-hmm. I have no secrets, is how I feel. I mean, obviously, there are a few things that I don't really want to talk about. But yeah, I'm not going to, I'm not going to tell you exactly what that is.
Yeah, like I told you, like I'm not going to force you to talk about anything that you don't want to talk about.
Yeah. Which is nice because I've been attacked by Inside Edition and other corporations who do invade your space publicly and on the record, you know.
Okay. We'll end it with this. Thank you for doing the show.
No problem.
How can people contact you? Like on Instagram, Facebook?
My new favorite way to make people contact me right now is just to email me. Mm-hmm. Just we want Trina, Trina, at AOL.com. You can just send me an email. Yeah. It's,
so use AOL.
Hey, man. You know, the internet was created by CERN. CERN.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do your homework.
Yeah, I remember that. The first parts of the internet.
Do you know about 5G and it being an active denial system and how it's used against people? And it's a military defense mechanism.
I have no idea about that. Okay.
Rabbit hole's deep.
So you can check her out. Or if you want to talk to her, you can send her emails at her AOL. Say the email again.
We want WEWANTTRINA at AOL.com.
There we go. Check out the website, ataboolife.com, where you read some interesting articles, short stories, poems, because I am that sappy. And you can also check out other episodes of the podcast, too. I want to thank you guys again for listening, and have a great night.